The comics, they smell very good this week.
Yes,
they
indeed.
smell so good that we have to break them up into two different categories of smells. One DC, one other. It makes it really easy to separate out.
Although, to be fair, I do have some DC over here still. They just smell so good that they gotta leak over to the other video.
It's true. They've got that new smell, the older DC stuff. Now the older DC stuff.
It's not Rebirth. This is more mature. This is teen DC.
yeah. There you go. Well, Mr. DC over there, why don't you start
Why don't you kick it off?
Mr. DC. Okay, I'll take that title. Why not? I have not just one DC book, but two of them, and they're both Batman.
Both about Batman. I mean,
whoa! Crazy. How do you know?
Can't believe it. How many Batman books came out this week? 5.
Yeah, a lot, actually. If we count all the covers for them, too, way too many.
10.
But the first one is something pretty high profile here. It's sort of an intermission in the ongoing Dark Knight 3 storyline. This is Dark Knight Returns: The Last Crusade. No, this does not have Sean Connery or Harrison Ford in it. Although I definitely did read some of Batman's dialogue in Sean Connery's voice.
I was gonna say, could Sean Connery be Batman?
I wish. I really do. Cool. That would make for a great Dark Knight movie.
Man, that would be really angry.
But this is actually chronicling the last mission of Jason Todd in the Dark Knight universe, who was only ever hinted at in the original Dark Knight Returns, which was actually before he had died in the main DC universe. That was a weird little bit of Frank Miller contributed to. Yeah, he contributed to the lore a bit. They're like, oh, dead Jason Todd. That could sell. This is Miller and Azzarello, who have been writing the main series, teaming up with John Romita Jr., who's going to be drawing All-Star Batman in December, I believe. And the second book I have for you is also called Dark Knight, but there's no K in this one. This is Dark Knight, a true Batman story, written by Paul Dini, who contributed more to modern Batman lore than just about anybody since Miller.
Jeff Loeb. Well,
no, he didn't do anything for the lore. He just wrote whatever he wanted.
That's true.
But he is one of two main minds behind the Batman animated series, along with Bruce Timm. And this is a new graphic novel recounting a true story that happened to him during the production of the series when he was beaten within an inch of his life one night. And sort of his road to recovery using fantasies and hallucinations of the Batman cast to sort of work through it. It's really weird, and I'm not sure how much of it is like real and how much isn't. Like, did he actually see Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn around him while he was recovering? Did he not? Who knows? Weird things happen when you have head injuries. But when it comes down to it, this is a beautiful book because the whole thing is illustrated by Eduardo Rizzo. Eduardo 100 Bullets Rizzo, doing all his own inks, all his own colors, everything.
Very nice.
He switches coloring styles like 5 different times throughout this book. It just looks phenomenal.
Yeah. It really helps with the story. And that is the Ghost. The Ghost has been coming in and out of Xanadu. We hope he's not stealing or
it's the ghost of continuity past.
Exactly.
Good for beating away ghosts or small children. We have large comic books at the store here. This is reminiscent, the new Marvel Treasury editions reminiscent of the really, really cool 70s Treasury editions of various things that they did for both Marvel and DC. This really makes you feel like a kid because it's just gigantic and the paper's all flimsy. It reminds you of like childhood book that you used to get. But this is the first 3 issues of Spidey, which is the all-ages Nick Bradshaw drawn, super awesome out-of-continuity Spider-Man title with Peter Parker. And as an added bonus, you get the first issue of Miles Morales Spider-Man in here as well. All for the low, low price of $16. And yeah, so that's these comics cheaper. You've got the Lizard.
Look at that.
Yeah, the Lizard is awesome. He's so cool.
Many scales.
There's so many scales. There's just, if you want fun Silver Age Spider-Man stuff, well, here you go for it. Yeah.
And Old Man Harris here had 2 of those when I was a little kid. Speaking of going back to kids, I had a Legion of Superheroes one, and I had a Defenders with Hulk and Moon Knight and Doctor Strange and all that. But anyway, back to the new picks of the week. Civil War 2. So here's what you need to know. Even if you weren't able to get the free comic book day issue, so here's what's going down. Ulysses is a brand new Inhuman. He has the power to see the future. He sees it happening. So some of the heroes say, this is great. We could stop stuff before it happens. We can prevent crime. We can save lives. That's kind of Captain Marvel and her Ultimates and their proactive mission. But then some stuff goes down. A beloved character is dead. We're not going to spoil that for you, even though it's like all over the internet.
You already know who it is.
You already know who it is, but out of respect for you. And then another Avenger is clinging to life.
Sam doesn't know.
Sam doesn't know. I'm going to say if you want to spare... We're going to spare Sam, everybody. So anyway, one beloved hero is dead, an Avenger is clinging to life, and it really enrages Tony Stark, who kind of takes action. He goes up against the Inhuman. Everything escalates here. There's an awesome fight within New Adelan. I love Medusa. I mean, the things that they love and can do with Medusa, in some ways, as much as I love her with Black Bolt, I kind of am glad that they kind of got rid of Black Bolt so she can really rise and shine her own. And she's really cool. And then there's some other stuff that happens, but then there's another vision, and this is going to lead to Carol Danvers kind of taking some proactive action, and the return of a character who's kind of been missing in action ever since the all-new, all-different Marvel Now relaunched back in the fall. So that's that. And
giant naked people in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very large naked person.
We're up all night to get lucky. I don't know why that popped into my head. Anyway, also another, whenever there's a big event, there are spin-offs. And of course the X-Men would be involved because ever since the all-new Marvel Now post-Secret Wars happened, we know the Terrigen Mist, which creates new Inhumans, is killing the mutants. And so you've got Storm and her team of Extraordinary X-Men. They've been kind of rescuing everybody and taking them off to X-Haven. And Magneto and his crew, they've kind of been going out and saying, who's taking advantage of the mutants. He's, of course, being more proactive and more aggressive. So when this goes down, the Inhumans kind of step in again with the power of Ulysses, and then it's kind of been simmering. It's like, and Cullen Bunn's writing this, who's been doing Uncanny, who I freaking love how he writes Magneto. I say Magneto, you say Magneto, and I think it's Nito. And he just kind of is going to escalate. It's like the war that's been brewing between Inhumans and X-Men is going to flare up, and then everybody's going to get involved. And so I'm kind of really excited with what's going to happen. And we're going to see Jean in different ways. There's some really cool Jean and Psylocke interaction, and just really excited between these two factions. And then when the two factions fight with the Inhumans, it's going down. And I look at the arts too. Andrea Brocadaro, who is kind of new. George Cullen Bunn on this. So a double shot of Civil War this week for you guys.
Alright, and I've got something less superhero-centric, kind of bringing it down from that. Archaia has a new 4-issue miniseries, actually from the artist of Civil War II, David Marquez. This is The Joiners, previously published in semi-black and white with some red and blue in 3D as a graphic novel.
I have it.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful work. And this is a new colorized miniseries edition with colors by, I believe, Kelly Fitzpatrick. Yes. Whose work I'm not sure if I've seen before, but they did an amazing job on it. It's like next level, somewhere between like Dave McCaig and Jordan Belair, with a bit of the colors that Chip Zdarsky has on Sex Criminals. It's got a bit of that vibe to it. But this is a story all about family, narcissism, and science. A bunch of wealthy, very, very, very powerful scientists in the future, and sort of the way that their family breaks down. Because at a certain point, like, it's the sort of Reed Richards effect. Like, you're so good at science and you're so involved in it that eventually everything else just matters less and less and less, and you start seeing yourself as being right about everything. And even though, as you know, in the case of Mr. Fantastic, often you are not at all. This is a really, really interesting series, and it's great to see it in this format, even though the 3D was awesome.
And new from IDW, the team that brought you the wildly popular Lock and Key, Joe Hill, Gabriel Rodriguez, brings you the rebirth, of Tales from the Dark Side. A TV show in the likes of Twilight Zone and Outer Limits. This was one that Joe Hill had a very personal relationship to and has crafted 3 seasons worth of plot for this, where in this world the old show can actually be found on like late night cable. So he's got this kind of like weird meta horror thing going, and you've got Gabriel Rodriguez, who's just amazing. So those who have been hungering for more Lock and Key, well, that's coming later, a little bit more, just a little bit. But for right now, you can satiate your, need for the dark side with Tales from the Dark Side.
Lazarus is back, ladies and gentlemen. The only person more excited about the return of this is maybe Aaron here in the store. Greg Rucka took a little bit of a break because he was working on Black Magic with Nicholas Scott, and he's also working on Wonder Woman for DC. But
He's busy.
He's a very busy man. He's reteamed with Michael Lark. This is their Image series. This is an incredible sci-fi soap opera, futuristic, dystopian future. Just a quick, here's how it is. In the future, there's 16 families that kind of rule the planet, very kind of a sci-fi, high-tech, feudal society. One of the main families is based in the Seattle, in the Pacific Northwest region. Each family has what's called a Lazarus, who's this genetically bred child that's sent to kill and do all their dirty work. And it's the heroine forever. That's her name. She's the Lazarus of this family. And she has to do this stuff for her family. Her family really doesn't deserve her. But as we've escalated, we've learned more and more about this world that Greg Rucka has built. It is just phenomenal, and he's kind of spread out. And now, so the families are about to go to war. This new arc is called The Cull. And it also, as we move forward, we're learning more. Can Forever, it looks like, is she finally breaking her program, and can she be free to choose for herself? And great heroine, great art, great world. Lazarus 22, brand new arc, its return. This is an awesome, if you love great female heroines and great sci-fi, this is it. Bam.
Alright, and something also very sci-fi, which didn't really used to be, Scooby Apocalypse is back with its second issue.
That was my Scooby.
I'm sure at this point, if you've been on the internet, you've spent like at least 800 hours just puzzling over what this even is since it was announced. But I'll tell you what it is. This is Giffen and DeMatteis working their magic with Howard Porter. It's almost, I'm seeing a lot of similarities even in the story with their Justice League 3000 work, which was severely underrated while it was running. And they're really taking the same approach where it's like, alright, familiar characters in a weird setting that no one really asked for, but we're gonna make it awesome anyways. You've actually got Daphne and Fred running their own TV show, just like at the beginning of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, for those of you that have been watching since way back. And they're teaming up with Velma, who's a big-time scientist now, working for this secret shadow government organization that's building a nanite plague that they've infected the world with, and now everyone's monsters. And then Shaggy is just in there somewhere training a dog with cyborg powers who's Scooby-Doo, and it's weird.
And he's
working really weird.
Too,
and Shaggy's working the
they give everyone a gun.
Oliver
Daphne
Queen
blows somebody's head off, and
yeah,
it's insane. I don't know. I'm personally really interested to see how this plays out, and I have a lot of faith in the creative team here.
Very large release from Dark Horse. Neil Gaiman's How to Talk to Girls at Parties, being adapted by the brothers from Brazil, Fabio Moon, Gabriel Ba. I wish this was around when I was younger. I mean, who am I kidding, man? I could probably use this now. I can use this now. But yeah, so it follows the story of two 15-year-old boys, one who has no idea what's going on, and the other is getting more than he can handle. So one tries to learn from the other. Of course, it all goes wrong. You've been there, and if you haven't, it will go wrong. I'm sorry. But yes, this is really, really gorgeous. Fabio Moon and Gabriel Ba are doing their own colors, which is really, really cool, because actually I can't even think if they've done that before. In fact, they haven't, that I know of. That's really cool. So that's very cool that they get to do this. Clearly, you had to get paid Neil Gaiman money to do that. So, yes, we get a bunch of these. Definitely check this out.
My next book is Black Widow, number 4. Chris Samney and Mark Waid, who are so awesome together on Daredevil, they are co-writing, and Chris Samney's doing the art with Matthew Wilson. And, just the two of those guys working on Black Widow, that should be awesome enough. Great story. She's kind of been exiled herself from the Avengers and from S.H.I.E.L.D. She's on the run. There's this weird kind of spy master kind of character that's kind of new, who's sent her on these weird missions that are all kind of making her confront her past and making her a renegade against all her friends and allies. And in this issue, she goes back to the Red Room, the infamous Red Room, back in Mother Russia, where she trained to become a killer, and what's going to happen there. Really thrilling, great art. As much as I love the last arc of Black Widow, the last run, I'm even loving this even more. Natasha's just she's just one of the most incredible heroines there is, but when you give a great team with her, she's flawless.
And my last book here is Jughead number 7. This has a new art team.
I like the cover.
Derek Charm, who actually is a former local, worked on the awesome series Trip Fantastic. Really, like, one of the best local comics ever. So well put together, so awesome, so hilarious, and so unfinished. This sees them as skewing the sort of like weird, like future visions, hallucination things that they did in the middle of all of Erica Henderson's stories, where they go to like a weird Game of Thrones world or a superhero world or something like that, and takes Jughead and Archie out of Riverdale and to Summer. In this issue, they go and they visit the Mantle family reunion. I don't know why you would ever go to the Mantle family reunion, but they did. This is more classic hilarity from Chip Zdarsky with a new amazing cartoonist on the team. Why not check it out?
And speaking of local artists, Sun Bakery number 2 from the Ray, Corey Lewis. You have the return of Arum, Dream Skills, Bat Rider, and the all-amazing, all-powerful 90s is alive in the bloodshed. That's right. You only get 2 pages, but damn is it good. Incentive cover by James Harvey, too.
And finally, Star Wars Han Solo, the biggest scoundrel in the galaxy in his own comic book series by Marjorie Liu and Mark Brooks, who normally is a cover artist. He does the interior art on this, and Han Solo gets the chance of a lifetime. He gets to be the race he's always wanted to win, but that's just a cover for his main mission to save some rebels. You know, can he stay on mission, and will he do it? Of course, he's Han Solo, but it's all about being along for the ride. So there you go, a double hit of Comics Should Smell Good this week from Zanadu in Seattle. Come on in. This and many more new and classic comics for you.
See y'all next week.